Okay, today in Lit and Writing, we are going to talk about author's purpose again. We're going to talk about this idea trait. There are 6 traits. We're going to talk about ideas today. And we're going to review RAD and practice. Some things you need to know. We are practicing author's purpose in RAD because you're going to have quizzes Thursday and Friday. Wednesday will be evaluate, Thursday author's purpose quiz, Friday will be a RAD quiz, and I will not be here Friday, so there will not be a Google Meet. So we are going to go over this passage that you read and answered some questions on last week, or a lot of you didn't actually do it, but we seem to need some more practice for author's purpose. So the passage is called Between Lost and Forever. They say that if you are not enjoying a book after 30 pages, you should just put it down. I so wish I had followed that advice. I'm sad to report that I just read the most boring book on the planet. It's titled Between Lost and Forever by L.B. Banks. Take my advice and do not read this book. The first chapters introduce the main characters who were once college roommates. The 5 main characters lost touch over the years and decided to meet up at a bed and breakfast in the Berkshire Mountains in Massachusetts over a long weekend. As each character arrives at the bed and breakfast, the author explains her appearance in agonizing detail and shares a backstory about each person. Unfortunately, those boring first chapters were the highlight of the entire book. The problem with this book is that there is no problem. Banks never provides an obstacle for the former roommates to overcome. The result is page after page of boring dialogue between 5 women. One of the greatest mysteries of this book is how its title relates to the plot. As I was reading, I kept waiting for the characters to get lost or for something to happen. Sadly, neither happened. This book is one that you should leave on the shelf. Question 1. What is the author's purpose in the second paragraph? Well, let's see if we can kind of cross out any answers we know are incorrect. So, the second paragraph, is it to inform readers about a new book or describe the opening chapters in the book? To entertain readers with background information on the author? To persuade readers to read the book? Well, I know D is not correct because the whole time they kept saying don't read the book. And I remember when I read the passage, I never heard any background information on the author, so C is not correct either. So let's look at the second paragraph and see what the correct answer is. The first chapters introduce the main characters who were once college roommates. It's talking about the main characters, what they're doing. So it's talking about the first few chapters, right? So it would be B to describe the opening chapters of a book. 2, the author's purpose in paragraph 3 is to explain why the book was not entertaining, describe how the book ends, entertain readers with an excerpt from the book, or convince the readers to read the book. Well, we know that they're not convincing anyone to read the book, and I don't think any of it was meant to entertain us with something from the book. So let's look. The third paragraph is this one. Unfortunately, those boring first chapters were the highlight of the entire book. The problem with this book is there is no problem. Boring dialogue between 5 women. So explain why the book was not entertaining is the answer to number 2. Number 3, the author's purpose in the last paragraph is to entertain the readers with a funny joke, describe the theme of the book, inform readers that the book is worth reading, or encourage readers to skip the book. I don't remember any funny jokes. I don't remember them talking about the theme of the book, and they definitely don't want us to read the book. So it is going to be D, encourage readers to skip the book. So when you're looking at author's purpose, make sure you're focused on what the text says and what you know about author's purpose, which is PI, persuade, inform, or entertain. The review was written to inform the readers about a new book, entertain readers with a funny story, describe how the book was written, or persuade readers not to read a book. The whole purpose of that was to persuade readers not to read a book. So the overall purpose was persuasion. All right. The trait of ideas. I can explain the ideas trait and how it applies to my writing. The light bulb is used for ideas. It represents the topic of the writing. Depending on the size of the light bulb, it can also represent how narrow the topic is. If you think of the light bulb on a dimmer switch, it can be compared to the number of details. Few details, the light is low. Many details, and the light is bright. So, ideas is the topic we're writing about, and it can include information, details, evidence, and explanations written about the topic. So the light bulb is used for ideas, represents the topic. It's often the weakest trait for students, what students struggle with the most. When you do your peer deck, you're going to write why you think it's the weakest trait for students. You're going to choose A, B, C, or D. And you're going to see the correct answer is all of the above. So when a teacher says your ideas are not developed enough and asks for more details, it does not mean add more underdeveloped ideas. You don't need more ideas. You do need to add examples, evidence, and explanations to the ideas you already have. Just go deeper. Okay, why does this happen? Normally it's because the topic is too broad. That's why the trait of ideas is weak. So, when you're doing your peer deck, you're going to think about the topic of Halloween and decide, is this a broad topic or is it a narrow topic? A broad topic is a topic that would have a lot of subtopics or smaller topics within it. A narrow topic is one that has been narrowed down to the smallest topic, and there's no other subtopics for that topic. You also are going to decide if turtles is broad or narrow, and if the Holocaust is broad or narrow. We're going to look at a written example. So the topic is Halloween. We're going to read the passage. Halloween is my favorite holiday because I get to go trick-or-treating. I get a lot of candy every year. One time I was a ballerina and wore a crown. Another year I dressed up like a clown. I had red and white clown makeup on my face. It was very messy. So Halloween is too broad because it has many other subtopics that fall into that topic, like trick-or-treating, or costumes, or face paint. So, what is the biggest idea of this passage? When you look at this specific text, the biggest idea is Halloween. If we want to go a little bit deeper, we would say the next biggest topic is trick-or-treating. If we want to go a little smaller, the next one would be costumes. Then, our next one would be clown, like the clown costume. The last one would be the clown makeup. So we started with a really big, broad Halloween, narrowed it all the way down to clown makeup. So using that strategy, we can kind of fix our writing with more ideas and details, and it might look something like this. My clown face. Halloween is my favorite holiday because I get to dress up in fun costumes and wear makeup. When I was little, I was a clown. I had an outfit with colored polka dots. It had a funny hat with bells and big red clown shoes. The best part of the whole costume was my makeup. My brother smeared white face paint all over my forehead, nose, and chin. Then he put 2 huge red circles on my cheeks and a big red smile on my lips. My eyes were painted like black triangles, and my nose had a puffy blue ball on it. I had so much makeup on that I couldn't wash it all off that night. The next day at school, I still had light red circles stained on my cheeks. So I was still able to mention all my larger topics from those boxes, but because my main idea was more focused, I was able to connect all my ideas better and give more details. Here's what you're going to do now. You want to have this open on the left, and you are going to open your digital notebook. I've even put a link to the notebook in case you don't have one still. So here's what we're doing. We have a digital notebook here. We have a slide over here. We're going to write the date. And then we want to delete this. We want to write under step 2, it says big box, then slightly smaller box. I'm also going to zoom in on this once to make it a little easier to read. Okay. So under slightly smaller box, we have even smaller box. Then somehow even smaller box. And then we have smallest box possible. Okay. So you're going to pick a broad topic from what I've given you under step 3. So if I were to choose holidays, I would put that next to big box. Then you are going to dig deeper in holidays. What is a next smaller idea that would still fit under holidays? And then you're going to dig down into that one. What would be an even smaller idea under that? So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 topics, but they all can relate to one another. These smaller ones fit all inside of holidays. So this smallest box possible would fit into the one above it, and both of them would fit into the one above that. Those 3 would fit into the slightly smaller box, and they would all fit under holidays. So you pick the topic you want, either family, vacation, holidays, chores, field trips, sports, school, whatever that looks like for you, and you need to fill it out in your digital notebook. Almost everyone has shared their notebook with me, so I can just go see what you wrote later. So that was explaining the ideas trait and how it applies to my writing. So now, the next thing you want to do after you're done with that is you need to go back to Canvas. You need these RADD notes. You're going to put this into your digital notebook. So you're going to do the 2-finger click. You're going to select copy. You're going to go back to your notebook. After the last page of notes, you want to do the 2-finger click again and select paste, and that whole slide just pops right in there. Okay, you do not want to link it. Then you are going to practice RADD. Here's an assignment. You're going to read a passage and you're going to write a RADD response. Your RADD response should have 5 sentences. They're outlined here. Your first sentence is restate an answer. Then you're sharing a detail from the text that supports your correct answer. It has a sentence starter, so the author says, comma, you need to have your quote from the text in quotation marks. Then you explain how the detail supports your correct answer using a sentence starter like this shows or this proves. Then you're going to share another detail, again using a sentence starter and quotation marks around the text. And then lastly, you're going to explain how the detail supports your correct answer. And that is all you're doing for today.